the pros
and cons
of living in Texas.
Welcome back to our channel. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Bobby.
And this is our road to the ranch that led us from Florida to Texas.
Yes, so we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living in Texas.
From, I guess you could say, a Floridian's perspective.
That's right.
Okay, so let's start with our pros. Pro number 1.
All right, pro number 1 is Texans, are proud of their state.
Very, very proud. And what I mean by that is, as we drove around, it didn't take long for the kids to say, why do I keep seeing this flag that's not the American flag flying everywhere? What is that?
And the name of Texas on every business. Every business.
Yes.
And that's okay. In Florida, I would say the people are proud of Florida also, but I think because Florida is a very, what do you call it? Transplant state.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of people moving in there. So you don't meet too many people that are originally from Florida. And I don't even know if I've seen too many Florida flags flying around when we lived there the whole time we were there.
Well, the funny thing is when we told them that's the Texas flag, they are very proud of their state. You'll see Texas flag and American flags everywhere here. So they went and researched what was the Florida flag. We lived there for 7 years and they didn't know what the Florida flag looked like. If that tells you anything, they can tell you exactly what a Texas flag looks like, or the Texas star, everywhere. They have a game that they play of how many businesses can they find with the state of Texas in the business name.
Right, and the star, the secret star, the hidden star.
The hidden star they call. So people here are proud of their state, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, it's fun to be a part of that. They just have so much tradition and they just love their Texas ways.
Okay, so pro number 2.
All right, pro number 2 of living in Texas would be the food. Yes, I know, the food. And there's a lot of states, and we've lived in several states. So Mississippi, the food was good. And I'm sure there's some great food in Florida. But where we lived, the food, I wouldn't say in Florida was always the best selection.
Not like mom and pop type restaurants. Like, these aren't chain restaurants that we go to.
Right.
Good Southern food.
Yes.
Which
So
is why we have to get back into the workout
Yeah,
routine.
it's been kind of, hitting me in this area here, but I would have to say the food from where we lived in Florida, they didn't always have a big selection of places to go eat, but
right.
Here there's a godly amount of places that you can choose from.
Yeah, and they will say it probably a lot in this video, everything's bigger in Texas. Well, the plates of food that they bring you to eat in Texas are Texas-sized meals that are big.
Yes.
Tyrone was really excited to have Texas barbecue because he thought that was going to be the best thing ever, which it hasn't disappointed.
It has not disappointed. Nothing that I've eaten here has disappointed me so far.
So if you want a good Southern meal, Texas will provide. Which brings us to pro number 3.
Pro number 3 for living in Texas, I would have to say, is price of food. Now, Lisa kind of recognized this a little bit sooner than I did, because when I'm hungry, I just want to eat, so I don't really care what I pay for it. I just want to eat.
Or let's say Lisa does the shopping,
That's
so
true.
Lisa knows the price of food.
Yes.
The very first time I went grocery shopping, I was like, oh my gosh, I got a gallon of milk for like $2, okay? Which maybe that's normal where you're at. In Florida, the gallon of milk is $4 plus. And when you have 4 kids, that adds up to be a lot. So breads, meats, milks, snack stuff, it's so much cheaper here. And I've told so many people that they didn't think it was. They didn't see a difference. But coming from Florida, I don't know what it is, but it's a lot cheaper here, which saves on our grocery bill, which means that I can buy a lot more food, which means the kids are loving this. They get to eat.
They eat all the time. but they're also doing things too and being active, so that helps. And that's why they have to eat so much, because they're exerting all this energy throughout the day doing the things that they love to do. So it's nice that the food is cheaper, that we can provide a little bit more, because they are growing. They're all growing. Oh my gosh. So it's been a blessing to know that food's a little bit cheaper. So that was coming from her.
That was one I was
didn't
super
see
excited
so
about.
much, but
People always ask, what do you like about living here? I'm like, the cost of food, man, it's so cheap.
so there you go. That is pro number 3. You're gonna come here, you're gonna eat good, and it's gonna be cheap.
All right, so that brings us to pro number 4.
All right, pro number 4 for living in Texas is the sports. And you know, we're a big sports family, but it's not even just the sports, but it's the facilities, the high schools. And you would think, oh, well, it's Texas football. Yes, I've seen those stadiums. The football stadiums are huge, but the baseball stadiums, the softball stadiums, they're all amazing.
And we're not talking NFL, because anytime there's an NFL in the state, I think they're proud of their professional teams. I'm talking more youth sports, like we have not seen. Oh, there's a bee.
We're going to get to that pretty soon. So, yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, Florida produces a lot of NFL athletes, and there are great athletes in Florida. And I was even shocked when I moved to Florida and became a head high school football coach, and seen the facilities there and going, oh my gosh, like, this is the facilities here in Florida. There's nothing here. The track was concrete. You know, we didn't have much on the football field, any equipment. So there's a huge difference of how they go about their sports here, starting from little kids up.
Yes, they definitely take pride in their facilities of what they offer to kids. You all know we've been a part of travel ball with softball. We've seen it. We know it. When we saw travel ball in Texas, they start at 6 years old, and these 6-year-olds are decked out from top to bottom in uniforms that are nicer than Cadence has ever worn as a 12-year-old. They're matching from head to toe, all the helmets, all the outfits, all the socks, the shoes, the helmets at 6 years old. This is coach pitch, and boys and girls, and they just are proud of what they put out there, I guess.
They are, again, with the flag. It's like every uniform has the Texas flag on their uniform, but they're proud of their sports. They're proud of their youth. And not only are their facilities really nice, but they're open too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've found several softball fields where the batting cages are open, the fields are open, so you can just get out there and work with your kids. And to me, that's amazing, because there was times in Florida that we couldn't find a softball field. They were locked up, or the batting cages were locked up, and things like that. So not saying that all parts of Florida is like that. Again, this is not cons on Florida. This is just what we see now that we're here in Texas, because we absolutely loved Florida when we lived there. And we're just now seeing a new way of how people do things, and wow, it's amazing.
And how elite they are compared to where our kids were with their training. I mean, we thought they were getting top-notch training, and then come here, and from the gymnastics to the softball, even to the basketball, little things that Cambry did, they had to kind of get caught up.
Yeah, I mean, it's different when you put that type of emphasis and the facilities into this place. Of course, you're going to get different results. So yeah, the facilities amazing, the sports crazy. I'm not saying that I'm pro 4 or 6-year-olds dressing up all out, because it eliminates some kids that can't afford to be a part of that, and I don't like that. I think every kid should be able to have an opportunity to play. So when you're putting that much money into a little league, and I don't know if they raise the money or how they do it, but I've never seen a 6-year-old team look better than a 14U, a 16U team, and that's what they look like. So
yes.
That's your sports here in Texas.
Okay, so last one, Pro 5.
All right, pro number 5, and why we moved here, is land. There is a lot of land and opportunities with the land. So yes, we haven't yet found our land, but that doesn't mean it's not available.
Yes, it was a hard time for us to find livable land in Florida. There's a lot of swamp land, a lot of water. You still see that in Texas, that you have to look at the flood map to make sure that you're not looking for land that's in a flood zone.
Right, especially in the Houston area,
right.
That's big. So.
But everywhere you drive on the outskirts of the city, you're surrounded by land. And this is part of the cultural aspect of being proud Texans, is that a lot of the land is passed down from generation to generation to generation. So it's family land as well. But there's no shortage of land. We're just looking for the right land at the right price at the right time.
Right, so there is plenty of land. We just haven't found our spot yet, but the land that we've seen here, just the pastures, and if you ever been or drove through Ocala, Florida, then you would kind of understand what we see everywhere we drive around
Green.
here. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's green, the fences, the horses, the trees. It's beautiful. So again, there was some beautiful areas in Florida. We just found that there was a lot of swamp areas, and that's why it's swampy and there's gators and all that. So we definitely like that the land is...
And the properties. I mean, even if it's residential, what you get for residential property in Texas, comparing it to Florida for us, is a very different, very, very different. Beautiful homes that you see. We're just not looking at residential land right now, but the houses are nice and a lot lower in price, even in this crazy market, but still overpriced.
And by no means are we wanting you to move from Florida to Texas because it's better, because it's not. We loved Florida. We did.
Yes.
We just thought it would be an opportunity to move here.
Florida.
We have family here, so that makes a difference. This is not against Florida. Again, we love Florida, and we'll always love Florida. And if there was a place that we needed to move again, it would probably be back to Florida. So,
right. Yes. This is just the pros that we've noticed since being here, but God brought us here, so we're making the most of it.
With the pros comes the
cons. So let's get to the cons. We're going to start with con number 1.
All right, the number 1 con of Texas, by far, not even close. I mean, huge separation from any other con, is the traffic. And I don't care if it's Dallas, Austin, Houston, the traffic I hear is bad, but the Houston area, whoo!
It's like no other. It's awful. It is. There's no way to put it. People told us the traffic is bad. I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, I've been in Orlando traffic. No big deal. Oh, I would drive in Orlando traffic any day compared to what I have to drive in every day to get Kyra to her gym.
And when we say traffic, this isn't stop and go traffic.
No.
This is going 80, 90, 100 miles an hour on the highway with other people going 60, 75, like...
Well, because the speed limit on the highway is 65. I don't even know why they even put a speed limit on the highway, because you better be going 75 to keep up with traffic, and then you're getting passed.
That's just to keep up. That's not the people that are just zooming by.
Right. I mean, here's what I say. Texans in general, the nicest people. They're so sweet, go out of their way to do whatever for you, until they get in their car and get behind the wheel, and then all bets are off.
I mean, they're in such a hurry to go somewhere. I don't even know where they're going to be in that much of a hurry, because, you know, what are you trying to get there so fast for? I mean, they are.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're late to work, what they're doing, but man, these
they will
people...
not let you in. They're not going to let you merge. They're going to cut you off. It's just, so I tell everybody I'm bringing the Florida island life, laid back, like, let me show you how we do it in Florida.
We used to hate to cross the causeway because we didn't want to deal with the traffic in Vieira and all those areas, and there's no traffic, really. I mean, it's small time. Compared to this now, it's unbelievable. And you'll pull up to somebody thinking, my gosh, who is this crazy person, this young teenager? And it's an older lady.
Or it's the mom in
or
the
it's
minivan.
a mom in the minivan. They don't care. I don't care who it is. They're going, and you better keep up, because they're not going to slow down for you.
And every time we share this with Texans as we meet them, they just start laughing. They're like, that's so true. I mean, it's so true. We're a different person when we get inside our car. So definitely a huge con has been the traffic.
Yes, big con.
All right, con number 2.
All right, con number 2 for the state of Texas.
The parking spaces.
Lisa noticed this. Now, my car, I don't want dings on the side of my door, so I end up parking far away anyway. But Lisa, her car's a little bit older, so she doesn't mind so
And
much, so she has to park in the parking spaces.
I don't know if we were spoiled in Florida, but the parking spaces are so big. You have enough room to take a wide turn to get into your parking spot. Here, I mean, it's like this. And like I said, everything is bigger in Texas. So everybody drives a big truck, a big SUV, big something, and you are...
Well, maybe that's why the parking spots are
No,
not
they're
as big,
just
because the
tiny.
cars are bigger.
They're just tiny.
I don't know. They are tiny, and the vehicles are big. Our kids, they were like, what are all these big trucks? I said, that's a lifted truck. That's a lifted truck. I'm like, yes. And once I said that, you know, once you recognize, like, you start looking at Jeeps, you see Jeeps everywhere. Well, they look up and they just see these trucks everywhere now. They're like, oh my gosh, they're everywhere. I said, yes, they're everywhere. So bigger vehicles, littler parking spots.
Yes, which, I mean, I'm not the best driver, so maybe that's why I
We
noticed
know that.
it.
We know that.
But
so.
he definitely can't park close to anybody, which means that we are parking even further away from wherever we have to go because...
We eat a lot and we have to walk further to walk it off. So that's why I park a long ways, to help you with your exercise.
Yeah, so we got traffic, we got the parking spots. What is con number 3?
Con number 3. We're kind of going on a little pattern here, right? It's staying
Right.
with the same, what do you call it? Same theme is the roads.
Yes, there's potholes and cracks in the road everywhere, and I don't know if that's because of the freeze. Maybe the freeze
We'll
messed
blame it
up.
on the freeze.
The freeze messed
But
up
their
the
roads are not the nicest around here with all the traffic, and maybe it's the big vehicles with the big tires, those big trucks, you know,
Yes,
maybe tearing up
yeah.
the roads. I don't know what it is, but the roads are terrible around here.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Texas, we got to do something better. Let's fix the roads.
Maybe they don't worry about the roads because they're in their big vehicles, so they don't notice. that
Right,
it's-
when you hit a pothole with a huge tire, it only feels like a little pothole. But when you're in my car and you hit a pothole, it feels like the rim's gonna come off.
There is a part on the freeway that Kyra and I drive back and forth to practice every day that we had to figure out where the landmark is, where this specific pothole is on the freeway to make sure that we avoid hitting it every time because it's that big. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean,
So that's
maybe we just didn't drive a lot in Florida or something, so now we drive more so we recognize it.
maybe.
Maybe that's it. Okay, con number 4.
All right, fourth con of Texas is how long it takes to get anywhere. And for us, like, we're looking at this, it's 45 minutes, 50 minutes, 35 minutes, an hour. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's an hour away. It just says it's down the road. It's an hour away. It's crazy. But the sad thing is people, I was talking to my cousin and I said, hey, I'm in your area. I'm in the Katy area. Maybe we should get together. She goes, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right by me. Why don't you just come over to my office? You're just right down the road. I put it in the GPS. It's 45 minutes away. I get there.
But miles wise, it's probably only 20 miles.
Right.
Maybe.
I get there. I said, Vernil, you took me 45 minutes to get here. What do you mean we were just around the corner? She goes, oh, that's normal. That's kind of how it is around here. And it is.
Yeah,
everywhere
we found
you go.
that literally everywhere you are around the Houston area, to get from one side to the other is about 35 minutes. Just plan on 35 minutes for
Plus.
one
Yeah,
spot to the
35 minutes
other.
plus. There's nothing shorter. I mean, it's crazy how long it takes to get anywhere around here.
I mean, we could get from the one coast of Florida to the other coast of Florida in 2.5 hours.
Right, where you can maybe get from here to the bottom of Houston, south of Houston and that.
But we did experience this same thing in Portland, Oregon when we lived there.
Yeah, Portland, Oregon was kind of the same thing. It was like,
Same.
oh, it's 15 miles down the road, but it'd take you 30, 40 minutes to get there. But here, because the traffic's so bad too, that it makes it seem longer.
Well, the traffic's unpredictable. There's not like a certain time of day of when the traffic is bad. It could be bad at 8 a.m. on Monday, and then the following Monday, 8 a.m. could be perfect. You just go right through, and you don't know.
I flew in at 11 o'clock at night, and it was still bad. I mean, still
Yeah,
crazy.
it's-
So it's
everywhere you go, you do have to turn on the GPS on your phone just to see if there's any yellow or red that you're going to hit along the way. We have to do that every time we're going anywhere, just because of that, as well as this goes back to the drivers and the traffic and everything. There's this theme really going, but if somebody's pulled over, the entire freeway, even on the other side, going the other direction, they all slow down to look.
yeah.
Everybody
And
slows down.
I've seen that in Florida too. Everybody wants to see, but it's almost like they
But
just
this is like
pulled
5
over.
lanes of traffic.
Yeah, and they're
that
just
all
pulled
slow
over.
down.
Let's just keep going. You know, let's just, if everybody did, the traffic's terrible, the roads are
We could
terrible,
have just said
parking
con
is
one.
terrible, and the distance to get anywhere is terrible, but that's not the last con.
Okay, con number 5.
All right, con number 5 is not anything to do with your vehicle or roads or traffic. It is
The bugs and the creepy crawler creatures that we have been dealing with that are, like I said, everything is bigger in Texas, and the amount of bugs and spiders and things I've never seen before are big.
I seen a spider yesterday that I've never ever seen a spider that big, because it wasn't like it was a tarantula, that a tarantula is just big.
Right.
This was like just a normal spider in the house that was probably at least 5 to 6 inches long.
Almost as big as Cadence's.
Yeah, I mean,
stretched out.
like a
yeah.
normal spider. I've never seen that before. I mean, the flies.
The flies, the mosquitoes. I mean, we had all those same things in Florida, but you just didn't go out in the morning or the evening. You avoided mosquitoes. It doesn't matter here. They're out all day. And maybe that's because we live more in a...
Like the other day, I really think that a mosquito grabbed Cambry and started to take her, and I grabbed her and pulled her down. I'm kidding, but they're big, they're everywhere.
Yes.
And
if you're not following us on Instagram, make sure you do that, Road to the Ranch, because I'm always showing the creepy crawlers that we come across. Right here where we're standing, we've seen water moccasins, we've seen them in the street.
there was a snake slithering by the camper.
I was on the phone doing business, and here comes this big old
Bull
snake.
snake, I think it
Okay,
was.
another thing that people laugh at this story, I was outside the camper because we have an outdoor fridge out there, so I'm getting a drink. It's like dusk, darkness, and all they can hear is me going, oh, 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 and so they don't know what it is. I was getting chased by an armadillo, which my mom said armadillos are blind, so I wasn't getting chased. This thing was following me, so I don't know, maybe they're blind, but he was coming after me.
So yeah, so that's the struggles of Texas with the bugs. Are big, there's plenty of them. There's other creatures, snakes, armadillos that'll chase you, or chase Lisa anyway. So
Tyrone has had a struggle. There's this thing called
a helicopter, and it's flying.
4
of them flying over us right now. So-
Okay, there's these things called paper wasps. If you don't know what they are, look them up. Paper wasps. We were at a softball field one time, and this paper wasp was carrying some other type of creature,
like
bigger
a
than
caterpillar or
its,
something.
like bigger
it's
than
huge.
its. And Tyrone thought it was over. He thought it was the killer bees. We were gonna die. That was it.
The killer wasp that come in from Africa or whatever. He was done, because these things were huge. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm not living here. I'm going back. And we had to tell him they're not gonna hurt you. They're a wasp. They're okay. But
You'll be
it was
fine.
huge. So yeah, we laughed at him a little bit because he sees these things and he's never seen anything like it. So
All right.
that's our pros and our cons of living in the great state of Texas.
And as you can see, the cons is the traffic. Really, you could summarize that in 2 things: traffic and bugs. Okay, that's good. And that's the Houston area. That's not speaking for all of Texas. That's what we're dealing with.
No, and that's why we're trying to get out of the city into land, so we don't have to
So I can deal with
that.
more creepy crawlers.
Right, I'd rather deal with the creepy crawlers than the drivers and the traffic, but you know, that's just our take and what we've seen. It's really what you make of it, where you live and where
Yes.
you are. And we like we said, we love Florida, And now we're really starting to enjoy Texas. I can't say that we love it just yet because we haven't been here long enough, but we are starting to enjoy it.
That's the newbie's
So,
perspective of Texas versus more of Florida, since we just came from there. But it's what you make of it.
oh, and let me give them a little if you do live in Texas, buy a tag. Do take the toll road.
Yes,
They'll relax you. They'll relax you to be able to drive on that. Who cares? Pay the money. Pay the money.
Oh, all right. So maybe we'll do this in a year and see if we still feel the traffic's bad or we're just used to it at that point.
Yeah.
But
45 minutes away will be nothing to us.
nothing.
Just down the road.
All right. We are still on the journey to get our ranch. We're getting closer and closer. There's going to be upcoming videos about that, sharing the business name, getting our first horse, just praying through getting the property that's right for us. So if you are not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do so, because there's going to be a lot of exciting updates coming. Like this video, if you're from Texas, give us your pros and cons, or give us some tips that we're not doing right.
Holler at us. Let us know what we need to do and how we need to do it. So,
all right, thanks for watching our channel, and we will be in touch next week.